No matter how dark the night, there is always a new dawn to come. The sun is but a morning star. Morning Star, a dramatic serial for those who face today and look forward to tomorrow's promise.
Kindly let me into the great man's office. Would you like some coffee while we go over that contract? No, thanks, Hank. I can't stay as long as I'd planned. I have a hearing to go to. Oh. I want you to pay special attention to Clause D of Paragraph 8. I've checked it with your boys in the legal department, and they concur.
I wanted to go over the Addison contract that came in. How long will your hearing take?
Well, that depends on how long Dr. Rolfe wants to talk. Now,
Dr. Rolfe?
Yes.
Dana Manning's doctor?
That's right. It's a hearing about Dana.
Dana? Just a minute, Ken. What's this all about?
Well, we've come to the sad day when it's necessary to appoint a guardian for her in her confused state of mind.
Ken, do you know what you're saying?
Precisely.
Well, I'm canceling everything this morning, and I'm going to that hearing, too.
Hank.
You can't bar me.
No.
And don't try. Barbara, some very pressing matters have come up.
Hank!
I won't be back in my office until this afternoon, maybe not even then.
Hank Stover, now you listen to me.
No, I won't listen. I had no idea that matters had sneaked along to this far.
Sneaked? I haven't made any secret of this. You are not included in the hearing because you're not involved.
Well, I intend to become involved.
You can't be.
Stan Manning put you up to this.
He put me up to nothing. Dana's incompetent state of mind is a grave reality for anyone to see and examine. 2 doctors have already done so and stated their findings.
No, this is intolerable. I know Dana's far from herself, but she hasn't deteriorated to that extent.
Do you know more than the doctors, Hank?
I know what I know, and I'm going to go to that judge and give him some of Stan Manning's history.
You can't.
Oh, can't I? Well, let him digest what I have to say before he makes any decision.
Hank, if you're the good friend to Dana that you say you are...
And I am.
If you are that friend, you'll stay out of this.
No.
Look, can I get it across to you that this is being done for Dana's benefit?
Benefit? Do you think it benefits that poor woman to be lying up there in that apartment? Huh? And to be declared of an unsound mind? And have her husband take over her affairs and bleed her of everything she's got? Oh, no, Ken, I will not stand by. She is not that ill.
So you deliberately want to stir up a hornet's nest of harangue and publicity and vicious talk that could do permanent, irreparable harm to Dana?
No.
And to you and to Carousel magazine?
Now, look, I'm only thinking of Dana.
You wanted to sweep the headlines that Dana Manning, the pillar of Carousel, is a mad woman?
Oh, they can't say that.
But they will say it. If this isn't kept a very private hearing. And they'll also learn that her husband, in seeking legal means to help his ailing wife, was obstructed by the publisher of Carousel, the wife's close friend. Now, I don't have to tell you, Hank, how damaging and scandalous that would be if the tabloids got a hold of it. So you go ahead. You make a disturbance at that hearing. But I can tell you right now that the judge is going to approve Stan being made temporary guardian of Dana. But you go ahead. If you think it helps her to be in the glare of publicity. You are the man who has been quietly in love with her for years. Don't think I haven't been aware of that. And if I am, there just may be others who are.
My affection for Dana is my own business.
Well, it won't be after certain gossip mongers get a hold of it. You, a publisher, should know that better than anybody else. Now, Hank, why don't you just relax and take care of all this business here on your desk and let me go over to the judge's chambers? Can I prevail upon you not to bulldoze your way into this hearing?
All right, Ken. I won't go to the hearing.
You won't regret your restraint. And let me stress to you that Stan being appointed as Dana's guardian is temporary. Even he wants it that way. We all hope that she's going to improve and eventually be back to her normal self again.
Temporary means that Stan Manning can do a great deal of harm in a very short time.
Do I have your word that you won't interfere at the hearing?
My word.
Good. I'll go over the Addison contract with you later in the day. So long, Hank.
Goodbye, Ken.
Barbara, get a hold of Bill Riley and Kate Elliott. They're in her office. And if they aren't there, track them down wherever they are and tell them to get over here just as fast as they can. And that is an order.
Yes, Mr. Davis.
This is an affidavit from Dr. Arnold,
Oh?
the consulting physician with Dr. Rolfe.
Oh, yes.
He was unavoidably detained this morning.
But I must talk to him along with Dr. Rolfe before I can make a final decision. You understand that, Dr. Rolfe?
Yes, Your Honor.
I grant that your testimony as the family physician will carry a lot of weight, but I must have a second opinion.
I assure you my colleague will be there when we go to visit Mrs. Manning.
Now I'll talk to the woman's husband. Is he here?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm Mr. Manning.
Mr. Manning, when did it first become apparent to you that your wife was not fully in command of her mental processes?
Oh, several months ago. 6.
I understand Mrs. Manning is not a housewife.
No. She was head of the fashion department at Carousel magazine. Technically, I suppose you could say she still holds that position. They want to believe that she'll return eventually.
I assume that that's a very responsible and demanding position.
Oh, yes, Your Honor. So for that reason, I was at a disadvantage in telling when Mrs. Manning became ill.
Can you elucidate that statement?
I only meant I didn't see Mrs. Manning as often as the majority of husbands see their wives.
Mr. Manning, many married women have jobs and still manage to maintain a well-ordered home life.
Yes. But in our case, because of the importance of Mrs. Manning's position at Carousel, well, her hours for her family and home life were at a minimum. The point I'm trying to make that she was inwardly exhausted long before I realized it. She'd always been a self-sufficient woman, energetic. Her friends and colleagues always used to say she seemed to have nerves of iron.
I gather from that she had comparatively good health.
Oh, yes, Your Honor. It was excellent. So, a nervous breakdown seemed the last thing that could happen to Dana. Mrs. Manning.
Bill, I should call my office.
No, not yet.
I feel like I've been at this hospital since dawn.
Katy, do you realize we're right down to the wire? The moment of truth?
Yes.
Any second we'll know if that capsule is loaded and lethal or if we're just a couple of stumble bums.
Did Tim say when that report would be ready?
He said he'd bring it out here unless he got called off on another case, and if he was, I should plow through that door, identify myself, and pick it up.
Well, then you better plow.
Yeah, I will in another minute.
Bill, Carousel keeps haunting me. I should check in.
What the heck with Carousel? If that capsule is loaded, we make a beeline for the Mannings.
Oh, no, we don't.
Katy, it's got to be Allison. There's something I didn't tell you.
What?
I went down to that employment agency that placed Allison at the Mannings. They checked back with Taggart to verify the references, and he hotly denied ever writing her any.
Well, now you're sure she wrote them herself.
I'm sure. So she could get in at the Mannings and start more of her dirty work. Now, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to nail that dame's ears to the wall.
You'll do nothing of the kind.
Katy.
Bill, you can't jump the gun. We've got to check with Hank.
I just don't know if I can wait that long. Dana's still in that building. She's a mighty sick woman. She's at the mercy of that...
Of Stan. It's him. He's the one who just dragged Allison into it.
Well, Tim must be hung up on another floor and can't get back down here.
For heaven's sakes, will you go in there and get that report? This anxiety's killing me.
All right, I'll get it.
Now, Mr. Manning, from your own observation, what were the first symptoms of your wife's breakdown?
Well, I first became alarmed when she mentioned a recurring dream she'd been having.
Recurring? How often?
Oh, very often. And always the same dream about a black chasm to which she felt herself being drawn. It produced a death wish.
Are you suggesting that she wished to destroy herself?
Yes, Your Honor. And she tried to accomplish that. One night when she was walking in her sleep, she tried to throw herself over our terrace railing. Fortunately, Mrs. Allison, our housekeeper, saved her.
Is Mrs. Allison here?
Your Honor, when you see Mrs. Manning, Mrs. Allison will be there to answer any questions.
I see. I still only get the impression of a tired, overwrought woman, badly in need of rest, perhaps, but certainly not incapable of clear thinking.
But, Your Honor, I haven't told you about the imaginary phone calls she claimed were real. Mysterious breathings at the other end of the line. Other times she imagined things were being stolen from her. And the voices that kept telling her to run toward this black chasm. Those chilling screams. We all became demoralized, watching Dana slip away from reality and until she hardly recognized anyone. Not even her own son. She became a shell of the woman she once was.
Take it easy, Stan.
Mr. Manning, I realize this interrogation is very painful for you. We can pause for a few moments if you like.
No, Your Honor, I'm prepared to continue. I only worry that nobody else can take care of Dana. Nobody understands her the way I do. There's nobody she trusts like she does me. Dr. Rolfe can tell you she's become like a child for me to protect.
Yes, we'll listen to Dr. Rolfe as soon as you collect yourself, Mr. Manning.
Lethal, but strong.
Get that. They've been tampered with.
2 doses in each capsule. Am I reading that right?
You're reading it right.
That means all the capsules in that bottle.
Well, it must. You took just any one out of the bottle, didn't you?
I took the first one that dropped out.
That means Allison must have fixed them all up.
Or Stan.
Or Stan. Put 2 doses into each capsule.
Oh, Bill.
That is very heavy drugging. We've got a case.
Poor Mrs. Manning.
It's a miracle to me. It's a miracle to me she's even still alive.
Now I'm going to call Hank.
I just can't believe this. I can't believe it, Katy. This is what's been going on in that house.
Yes. Well, of course, put her on. Kate?
Mr. Stover.
Where the heck have you been?
At the hospital.
Getting the report on that capsule.
I've been trying to get you all over town.
Now, hold on, Hank, and do you hear what we've got to tell you?
You won't believe it.
Well, wait till you hear what I have to tell you. Now, you get over here just as fast as you can.
Dr. Rolfe, how long have you been the Manning family physician?
Oh, why, 20 years. Yes, I recall it was shortly before the birth of their son, Eric, that I recommended an obstetrician to Mrs. Manning. But as Mr. Manning said, his wife has always enjoyed extremely good health, as has the rest of the family, so that, except for a few momentary checkups, my medical skill wasn't called upon very often. As a matter of fact, it wasn't until Mrs. Manning developed a severe series of headaches a few months ago that I began to see her consistently.
Now, what did you prescribe?
certain medication, but chiefly I recommended that she slacken her workload at Carousel magazine. Now, to any other woman, her schedule would have set a killing pace. The human nervous system can cope with just so much. And Mrs. Manning, being of a temperamentally a high-strung person, I strongly advocated that she shift some of her responsibilities to other shoulders, that she plan definite rest periods where she could replenish her energies and give herself over to complete relaxation. Now, these needn't have been long periods, since I knew that Mrs. Manning's driving kind of creative tempo of living wouldn't stand for this. I suggested that perhaps short periods scattered throughout her busy year.
Did she follow your advice?
Not at all, Your Honor. So it became a matter of my doing as much as I could for a woman who had exhausted herself to the point of complete fatigue. And along with this was the accompanying factor of melancholia. Now, these headaches and dreams were, to me, natural developments of this. So, I proposed some tests which would have temporarily hospitalized her, but she positively refused.
Yes, I read in the report that she has a phobia about hospitals.
And doctors. Other than me, that is. That's why it was impossible to have a consultation with Dr. Arnold until just the other day. If it hadn't been a family friend, I'd dismissed her as an uncooperative patient.
Dr. Rolfe, over the months, did you observe a diminishing awareness in Mrs. Manning?
Definitely, Your Honor. She's now in a state of incompetency and incoherence. But I think Dr. Arnold is better qualified to give you that information.
Yes, I had a message a short while ago. Dr. Arnold is waiting for us at the Manning apartment. I suggest we go over there and I can talk to him and then to Mrs. Manning and determine for myself the degree of unawareness.
Right in her hunch about Stan Manning all along.
I'd say you've both been right. Stan and Allison must have been in collusion from the start.
But I guess Stan is the one that engineered the whole mess.
Oh, he has to be, Bill, with that incompetency hearing going on across town. He gambled that the potency of those pills would never be discovered and he'd be put in complete charge of Dana. And he's winning.
It floors me, Hank. You know, I always thought Stan, in his way, loved Dana.
It was simple greed. He's in love with her money. And this is a very shrewd way to get it.
Bill, you had a good idea. We should crash that apartment.
Oh, no, Kate. I've been going over this whole thing waiting for you two. I even had lawyers up here discussing it.
But what do they say?
Well, they said that Stan hasn't done anything illegal that could be proven. And Ken Davis assured me that the hearing is going in Stan's favor.
Can't we stop it somehow? We've got
Well,
to.
why don't we bust it on the judge and tell him about the capsule?
No. The publicity would do Dana the most harm.
Oh, but Hank, what do we gain by stewing around in this office? Oh, the heck with what's legal or illegal. It's up to us. We gotta move.
Yes, but we have to be as shrewd as Stan Manning. Now, I think I have a plan. See?
Now I must have complete details on Mrs. Manning's financial holdings. Are you prepared to supply that, Mr. Manning?
Well, an estimate, Your Honor. Not exact figures. Perhaps Mr. Davis might.
Do you have the exact figures, Mr. Davis?
Well, not in my briefcase, Your Honor, but my office can quickly send the figures over.
Well, I won't need them until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, at which time we will reconvene. Now, since I have seen Mrs. Manning and her state of unawareness, talked to Dr. Rolfe and Dr. Arnold, I'm prepared to sign the guardianship order and grant Mr. Manning full power of attorney.
Now, we can't afford to bungle this thing. Since the law's on Stan Manning's side, we must also operate within the law.
But Hank...
But crashing that apartment would defeat us, turn our whole effort into a disaster.
But then how do we get Mrs. Manning out of there?
Well, we don't kidnap her. Well, Stan would have the law on us in 15 minutes. Now, if we could just get Eric to help us.
Eric?
Yeah, you see, if the son lets us in, he has the legal right to enter. Do you see?
It's a great idea, Hank. Now, where do we find that kid?
2 places. My apartment with Jan or his apartment with Jan.
All right, hop to it.
Mr. Stover, Eric is irresponsible. We can't depend on him.
But there's nothing else we can do.
What Katy means, Hank, is he's his father's son. He'll go over to Stan's side.
All right, then we've got to sell him on helping us rescue his mother. Now get to him. We're running out of time.